Welcome to episode 4 of the TV Autopsy, slicing its way through the series you love. My name is James.
My name is Deborah.
And I'm Megan.
Wow, hello ladies. It seems like it's been a very long time.
Very long time. It feels like a good couple of months.
I know, we had a period when it was like it seemed like we were together all the time, and then it just kind of faded
I blame
away.
my broadband provider. I had technical limitations for
But also the
nearly
football.
a month.
Oh yes, the football. I didn't watch any of it. Was it any good?
Yes, it was fun.
Excellent.
All the drama there in a nutshell. Who says we can't review anything on TV? So what's been going on in your worlds?
Well, I have news.
Oh, go on.
My news is we got a puppy. Well, she's a rehomer, so she's nearly 7 months. She was the previous owners. She was a lockdown purchase, and they realised that they didn't have any time for her. So they clearly loved her very much, but just
not that much.
But just didn't feel, they had to go back to work and all that sort of stuff. So she's ours now. She's a cross cocker setter, black.
Nice.
She's a little minx. She's lovely. Where is she now? I don't know where she is at the moment. But she needs an awful lot of training because she had no training whatsoever for these first 7 months of her life.
Yeah, I find it very hard to get my head around how people cannot understand when they get a puppy, the commitment that goes into having a dog. When we were growing up, it was always, a dog is for life, not just for Christmas, wasn't it? All those adverts. I can never understand that either. It's like, when you got a dog, I just fall in love with them. How can you could then just get
they are a really big commitment, aren't they? And I think an awful lot of people just didn't think through the consequences of the other end of lockdown. So I'm very glad that there's people like you, Deborah, to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Now, Megan, have you got any dog news?
Well, I believe that the lovely Graham Hall is filming his new series of dogs behaving very badly, and my very badly behaved dogs will not be making an appearance.
Oh
no. Oh, well,
and Jolene broke her. We made it to 151 days without veterinary intervention, and then she managed to break that record.
Oh wow! What was that? Do you count the days? What is she okay? What happened?
She's absolutely fine. She got a tick right on the end of her snoz, and I couldn't get it. Get it off.
Well, a little tip for you. Just get a lighter and you just burn it.
Burn her nose?
I'm not going anywhere near her.
And it pops off. There you go. Learned that from my Camp America days in Maine. America.
USA.
It's everywhere, even though I didn't get any. So, yeah. All right. Shall we, have we got any TV news? I've got a little bit. Not
Go on.
So, I don't know if any of you watch The Sopranos, but there's a spin-off show coming from The Sopranos called The Merry Saints of Newark. And then it just got me kind of thinking about that I heard, I was reading today about the House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones spin-off.
Yes, I've been asked to be in that. I think I shared that with you, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask you two, what are your thoughts on spin-offs? Is it kind of a watered-down version? Are they ever any good? Are they ever any better? And what are your thoughts about these upcoming ones, really?
I would be interested in watching the Game of Thrones spin-off. Because it is such a big world that he wrote about, and he thought about all the kind of history and the legacy stuff beforehand. So I'm interested to see what there is and what it's about.
I mean, he does. I suppose we should just mention that writing for him certainly in the past tense, because this last book has taken him about 8 years. Bless him. He's obviously enjoying. He goes to all the conventions and everything, doesn't he? And
he's allowed. He doesn't actually owe us anything. I mean, he's not obligated to write and fulfill our own desires to see the stories play out. Although Probably by book 8, he's got a bit of a moral obligation.
I think there's lots of furious Game of Thrones fans who would disagree with you there. But have either of you read the books, by the way?
Yeah, I've read the first couple of books, but
I
not
read
the old books.
Yeah, I read the first book and then decided that I was actually just going to fully embrace the TV series and not constantly be comparing the two. So
yeah, because they do kind of go off in different directions and stuff, and I kind of did the same. I read the first one and then kind of just committed to the TV. But anyway, sorry, making that question to you about spin-offs.
About spin-offs. So I'm all up for the spin-offs. I think some of them crash and burn fairly quickly, Joey.
Yeah.
But some of them really do stand the test. And interestingly, we will be, I think, moving on to talk a little bit about Joss Whedon and Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
I thought that was an excellent spin-off.
Torchwood, you liked Torchwood, didn't you, James?
Well, look, I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, and during that time, it was off the air for 18 years, and then it came back with the amazing Russell T Davies, and we just had the show, and we had the Sarah Jane Adventures, we had Torchwood, we had Confidential, we even had a few cartoons, and I just kind of embraced anything that was kind of vaguely Doctor Who. I thought the first two series were quite flawed. It was kind of like trying to be a bit what's it called? The X-Files, but with more sex, really. But I thought they really hit the ground running. They did series 3. It was 5 episodes, and they did it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all in 1 week. And it's called Children of Men or something, and it was about aliens that were abducting children, and they were using children as their drug. Basically, they were hooking them up to these big aliens and just feeding off that great concept.
Not dark at all.
I can think of other spin-offs, James, that you have been in love with over the past, like Joni and Chachi.
Well, I was just going to ask you,
Mork and Mindy, and
yeah. Well, I was just about to say, can you name the 4 spin-offs from Happy Days? But you've already named 2 of them, and they're the most difficult ones, really.
Okay, what were the other 2?
So we had Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah. Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy. It was a cartoon with the time travel, the Fonz and.
The cartoon! Yeah, I love that. What was it called? What was that called? I remember it.
I don't think I even know it.
Yeah.
I will insert the theme tune here.
We got it all together now, gang. The Fonz. His doggy name, Mr. Cool, and the Good Group. One flaky time machine, and a future chick named Cupcake. Oh, now the gang got zapped into that time machine, and they're like traveling through time. My. They do not dig where that machine is going, but they sure hope to get back to 1957 Milwaukee. Can you dig it? Yeah!
There you go. So that was that.
Yes. And what was the other one then?
No, I think
you said there were 4.
Yeah, I think.
Didn't Fonz have his own?
No, I know what it is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hasenkamp Incorporated.
We're gonna do it. Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Nothing's gonna do.
So Laverne and Shirley were the Fonz's cousins who worked at a bottling factory.
Well, there you go.
It's great. Really,
Very
yeah.
far removed spin-off, isn't it?
Yeah, nice bit of feminism going on there as well. For the 50s, straight 70s, whatever it was. Yeah. So there we go. Spin-off City. All right, let's. Has anyone else?
I have a little bit of news. So I don't know if anybody saw season 1 of This Way Up, written by Aisling B.
No, I've not seen it.
Season 2 is now out, and it stars herself and Sharon Horgan, and they're sisters, and it's just excellent. So if you've seen season 1, you can now catch season 2. If you haven't seen season 1, hurry up and see it, and then you can watch season 2.
So, dear
Cool.
listener, we were having a discussion today, the three of us, in building up to our lovely podcast this evening, where we were talking about what are the acceptable rules for trying to slip in extra TV shows away from our format, and it looks like Megan's just done that. Yellow
Well,
card,
that was
Megan.
quite clever. It was news. It's news.
Well,
Topical
everything's
news.
news.
Are we having the cutting edge?
We certainly are.
segment?
Gentlemen, you are about to enter the most fascinating sphere of police work, the world of forensic medicine.
Yes.
So, cutting edge, off we go. Deborah!
2 things. Time, starring Stephen Graham, Sean Bean,
We can't have two things, there are rules. Go on.
and Call My Agent, which is really excellent.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
I started watching that. They've now got a UK version. So the French version is called 10%, but translated to 10%, but actually it's called Call My Agent. So everyone's been talking about it. I started watching it. It is fantastic. They've got a UK version, which, to tie in with the main theme that we're going to be talking about today, stars Olivia Williams, who plays Lady What's-Her-Face, Lavinia Bidlow.
Right.
In the
Okay.
Nevers.
Great. Good stuff. It's 10% the going rate because I'm an agent for somebody and I charge 15%.
Well, yeah, 10% is the usual rate, James. So you are fleecing them.
That's fine by me. Megan, what about you?
My clean bill of health is, I discovered it this weekend. So had we recorded this previously, I don't know what my clean bill of health would have been.
I don't know what your clean bill of health is anyway. This is called Cutting Edge, this feature.
Yeah, why have I got this clean? Why have I got clean bill of health on my little
I quite
form?
like clean bill of health as well. I'm easy.
Cutting edge. I'm changing this right now. I think I've done that before. I just copied and pasted the same template. You see. So I've discovered on Netflix. It's a Kardashian style fake reality docu whatever, and it's called This Unorthodox Life, and it focuses on the CEO of the Elite World Group, which is it's basically about 90% of the world's modeling agencies, and it's the CEO and her family, which sounds all a bit well, yeah, brilliant, except that until 8 years ago, Julia Hart, who's the CEO, was living an ultra-Orthodox life as in the Hasidic Jewish community in New York, in Monsey. And about 8 years ago, she left, and with no broader life skills, having been completely subservient to what she considers a fundamentalist environment. And she escaped with one of her daughters, and since then her other daughter and one of her sons has come with her, and her fourth child is still in the community and sort of like spends some time, and it is fascinating and really interesting.
So this is based on a true story.
It's true. It is life. It's
Right.
kind of like Meet the Kardashians.
I was gonna say, I was thinking, where's the comedy in this? But
It's not comedy, but it's
reality TV.
brilliant. It's reality TV, and it's
Oh.
excellent.
Oh, I'm gonna
I'm
check
really enjoying it. I had to force myself not to stay up until stupid o'clock this morning to watch all of it. So I've got a couple of extra
Okay.
episodes left.
that.
That's
That's
Really
Netflix.
interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I did something I've never done before, which doesn't leave a lot left to the imagination. But I did that thing on Netflix where it says, "Let us choose something for you to watch."
Yeah.
And I did. I thought this is going to be stupid, and it came up with this show called Superstore, and
Oh yes.
so it's basically it's a sitcom. based on like a Walmart kind of
Yes.
company in America.
With America Ferrera, right? Yeah.
I just loved it.
I started watching that.
It's
Yeah.
it's so funny.
But I
It's got-
turned it off though after a couple of episodes. I think I watched about 4 episodes and went, yeah, I think I've seen the whole thing now. Just in
Oh,
these 4
it really
episodes.
no, it really does grow and build.
Oh,
And,
does it?
and the jokes. You've got there's this character in it called Sandra, who's just put down and just bullied basically by the assistant manager. Every time she talks, it's like, "Shut up, Sandra," and then she gets together with a guy who looks just like her, and this other woman from work just takes her off him, and it's hard to explain, but definitely worth a watch. So that's my seal. That's my cutting edge.
There you go.
Very good.
All right, so let's do Flatline. Megan, have you got anything that you would not advise us to watch?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sexy Beast.
What, the film?
No, it's basically a dating show now, and the premise is that everyone's just too obsessed with looks. So all of the participants rock up in some kind of weird masked singer type get up. So they've got masks or makeup on, dressed up as, I don't know, there's a panda, there's an alien, there's a zombie, and they do a dating. So one person then dates 3 other people and chooses based on, in inverted commas, their personality. And it's just terrible. They're all in their early 20s. They're as shallow and vapid as you might expect.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. The fact they're wearing a mask highlights the fact that they're all just obsessed with looks and,
Yes.
physical, and it's just, terrible. Don't bother.
It is a bit like a car crash, though. Now you've explained it, I feel like I'm just gonna want to go watch one episode.
Go and watch one. Watch the Beaver one. He was a very pleasant specimen of humankind. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Deborah, how about you?
Well, I haven't seen anything that I haven't wanted to watch over this past couple of months, but I can give you a whole load of things that I've watched previously.
No, I think if we don't stick to the rules,
Yes.
no worse than don't know what the phrase is, but
Yeah.
And my one is, I was around at a friend's house the other day, and she was watching an episode of Supergirl. So I decided to start watching Supergirl this weekend, and I've watched 14 episodes, and it's not very good at all. But I can't stop again now.
I really tried to get into that because my dog, my first dog, Rhubarb, and
I don't know where this is going to go. This is great.
I'm just trying to remember his name. Who's the guy in it who plays
I don't know any of the actors' names. But we've got Jimmy Olsen. I mean, it's basically go on.
He played the FBI director in the first season of Homeland. He's an English actor, black guy.
Yes, I know who you mean. He plays Jimmy Olsen, I think.
David Harewood,
Yes.
that's his name. So my dog and his dog used to play together on Tooting Common.
Oh, I like David Harewood.
Yeah. So I tried to get into it because I've got, my dog and his dog are mates, and I've got a massive crush on him. He's lovely.
Yeah.
My dog plays with his dog on Tooting Common. I don't take my dog to Tooting Common. My dog walker does. I'll have to ask.
Yeah, his dog Sebi and Rhubarb used to play together, and he was lovely. And so I tried to watch it, and I just couldn't. I really wanted to fangirl Supergirl, and I couldn't.
It's got so many flaws. One, it's got a very low budget, so all the effects and all the makeup and the designs look hokey. But then the other problem, and I've always, not with the film, Deborah, because I know we're both big fans of the original Supergirl film, which is great.
Yeah.
But what it seems to do is you just get all the kind of C-list characters from Superman. So we got like Lois Lane's sister, we got Jimmy Olsen, and all this kind of stuff, and then we get all the kind of slightly bad villains from Superman. Superman does not seem to have a lot of villains.
Shall we talk about misogyny in the superhero world, shall we?
Well, listen, but again, I'm trying to be supportive of that. I mean,
I'm not. That wasn't aimed at you, James. That was aimed
No,
at the
but
superhero
absolutely, and
world.
that's kind of one of the reasons. That's the only redeeming feature. You've got a woman from Ally McBeal who plays the head of the media company where she works.
Calista
Calista
Flockhart.
Flockhart.
And you know,
Harrison Ford's wife.
She's talking about feminism all the time. Are they still together? That's nice.
Mm.
All right, so that's that. So we're gonna move on to our feature, but before we do, which is the Nevers, and Deborah, I'm sure you've got some wonderful facts lined up for us. But before we do that, we wanted to have a little chat and kind of get all our kind of thoughts out about these kind of allegations about Joss Whedon and all this kind of stuff that's going on. Now, before we do start about this, I think we should be careful about what we say and how we say it, because they are allegations at the moment.
I have nothing to say.
Okay, I've got a few things I want to say.
I have a lot to say.
So, but all I suppose what I'm saying is, let's not get sued. Go on, Megan.
Yes. So part of the reason why I was leading towards picking the Nevers, because this was my choice, was because I had heard that Joss Whedon was involved and was, well, creator. And I have watched and loved so much of his work historically. A massive fan of Buffy the Vampire. If you said to me, what one series should we all collectively go away from the entire history of television, I would have said Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
All right.
And
I've only
then
seen one. I've only seen a couple of episodes of Buffy.
The writing's superb. You know,
so good.
everything
I
well.
rewatched it all 2 years ago, every episode of 7 seasons. I've seen them all. I just love them, and anything he's done, I've really enjoyed. So you've got Firefly, the ill-fated one season, excellent Wild West meets Star Wars, and Dollhouse,
Avengers,
Angel, just so good.
Did you mention Firefly as well?
Yeah,
then,
because I bring it. They're making it into a film finally, because there's been such a fan outcry for years about
another
Firefly.
film, because they made it into Serenity, didn't they? They made a Serenity film.
I heard they're doing something else with it.
Well, so all really good stuff. So naturally, always a bit excited. But as soon as I started looking into it, also then turned out that Joss Whedon had basically exited from the Nevers after the first 4 episodes, I think it was. And it had all a lot of historic criticisms and of toxic allegations of toxic sets over, dating all the way back to Buffy had been made. And Ray Fisher had basically, back in February of this year, he had on social media, he had posted a clip of him singing Joss Whedon's praises, saying how excellent he was.
Who's Ray Fisher?
Ray Fisher was playing Cyborg in The Avengers?
Yes.
And so he posted a clip of him singing Joss Whedon's praises, saying how great he was. And then in that post, he said, I just want to categorically, I'm paraphrasing right now, withdraw every sentiment of this clip. And he was announcing that he wasn't going to be part of any subsequent releases, that his character, he wasn't going to be playing the character anymore. He alleged that there was a really toxic environment, that he felt that he had been bullied and treated disparagingly, and that the character had been dealt with in quite a racist, had received a racist approach to the way that the character was being handled. And then all of these other people who'd worked in Joss Whedon programs started coming out in support. So Charisma Carpenter, who was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then Angel came out in support of that. And then a whole load of other Buffy characters came out supporting that. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Amber Benson, James Masters, who plays Spike, David Boreanaz, who played Angel, that all came out reinforcing that the environment that Buffy and Angel was really quite toxic. Michelle Tattenberg, who played Buffy's sister, came out on social media saying that as a 35-year-old, 20 years later, she now felt able to say it was bad. There was a rule that she wasn't allowed to be left in a room alone with Joss Whedon. His wife had come out with lots of claims about lots of affairs. So there was just this really quite toxic
I mean,
environment coming out.
I've got all these things that you're saying. I've got like a list here, and I mean, they just get the stunt team. It goes on and on. You know, it's really disturbing. There's a bit. James Masters said that I remember he backed me up against the wall one day, and he was just like, "I don't care how popular you are, kid. You're dead. You hear me? Dead." I mean, it's kind of, it's really quite unsettling how someone, you know, with that much responsibility can go so far.
Yeah.
But he's not the only one that we're hearing about, right? This is all starting to come out the woodwork.
Well, yeah, I mean, over
with Noel Clarke and
yeah,
so
I was
on.
going to say, Noel Clarke from Doctor Who. Basically, when they brought the series back in Cardiff, they rented out a whole apartment block or a block of flats or something, where all the cast and crew would live. Supporting actors would stay there, and it was a bit like Halls of Residence, from what I hear. It was quite debauched. You know, you had what's his name, who played Jack Harkness, Dancing with the Stars guy, Dancing on Ice. What's the judge for Dancing on Ice?
Oh. You mean John Barrowman?
John Barrowman.
So he, you know, he would regularly expose his genitals to people.
Allegedly.
All alleged.
No,
well, actually, he actually did say. He apologised for that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's funny. 5 years ago, he was bringing that up at conventions, joking about it. You know, but Noel there was allegedly some serious stuff going on there, and when these cast members or supporting actors, you know, visiting actors rather, came and talked about it, they're the ones that got removed from the show. And as a Doctor Who fan, and he was, you know, and he just before all that broke, he had won a special BAFTA award for his services to television and film. And he made a brilliant speech. I listened to him on a front row, a whole edition devoted to him. And it's just so disappointing. And for me, it doesn't taint the show. But I'm just wondering how you feel about Buffy now. I mean, does it kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth? Could you separate it enough? I mean, Doctor Who, for me, because it's always been transient, it's stronger than, you know, one set of people. They're only around for 5 years and they get a whole new cast and crew in. But
yeah, it's interesting because so having literally watched it 2 years ago, still loved it, felt it stood up to the humour and the writing stood up. But interestingly, having recently read a lot more about, read a few articles and they were drawing some of the criticisms that it even received at the time, because he has a lot of strong female characters, but actually, and I think this is probably some of what I was reading was solidifying some of the niggles that I had about some of the Buffy stories and Angel storylines, and they're sort of like, yes, he brings in these strong female characters, but he's
hiding behind it.
Yeah, but they're not treated particularly. There's arguments that all their power comes from trauma. They're not strong in their own right. There's you know, terrible things that happen and then they lose their marbles and
I just want to say something about that, you know, because nowadays we're not very quick, but we're very equipped to put labels on everything. So, you know, we now know what a certain disorder is, for example, borderline personality disorder. But just because you give somebody or something a label doesn't then kind of give that person the excuse to be the way they are with people. Do you see what I mean? Trauma, it's not an excuse that trauma in the past.
No, Megan's saying about the characters have trauma.
Not him.
A female character in her own right can't just have a superpower.
Just be awesome.
It has to have been brought upon
triggered by
something.
Things.
Right.
And the patriarchy or whatever. Yeah.
Right,
and
okay.
In Angel, he killed off 3 of the biggest female characters, they all died in childbirth. And there was he had
Wow.
accusations because he rewrote in 2006. He wrote a Wonder Woman script, and it came back out more recently, and it was deeply misogynistic, and she was just a prop up for a male character, can't remember who. It's not really my scene, a lot of the more superhero-y type stuff, but it was just, I think now in hindsight and understanding some of the rumblings that we just wouldn't have heard about as common a garden viewers at the time, but you can kind of like see that there are themes throughout a lot of what he does, and yes, love the art, hate the artist maybe, but it would be interesting to go back and watch it, and whether that puts a little bit of a different taste
Especially
on it.
knowing that these characters are actors on set, and you're watching these guys on set, and you know what's been going on behind it.
Sarah Michelle Gellar said that when all of this came up, she came out in support of Charisma Carpenter, and she said, she would forever be proud to be associated with Buffy Summers, but she did not want to be associated with Joss Whedon.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that a powerful thing? Yeah. So all right. Well, let's kind of one final question. I'll be very surprised if Noel Clarke comes back from this. But everyone, I believe everyone deserves second chances, all that kind of stuff. But I can't really see how he's gonna come back from this. Joss Whedon, I know he's still working, but how would you go in and would you watch stuff by these guys now that you know these allegations, or would you not?
So interestingly, I did watch The Nevers as a result, and it was really difficult to take that taint off what I was watching.
I have the same experience actually, and because it's so strong, and it's got some strong feminist messages in it, and you cannot help watching it thinking, oh my God, he's a hypocrite, so that's that. But
I've known very little about Joss Whedon. I haven't watched Buffy, The Avengers, Firefly, none of those. So I've never been someone that's gone out to go and watch Joss Whedon things like you have. But yeah, that was at the back of my mind watching The Nevers, having read a few articles and gone, okay.
So should we draw a line under that now and talk about The Nevers?
Let's talk about The Nevers.
So I'll tell you what, let's have a clip and then we'll come back with some wonderful facts.
It came 3 years ago. A power that mocks God. Those afflicted. Power touched.
Mrs. True?
Mr. Dare? Being touched is not a defect of character. This war, the cops, the purists. There's no shortage of people who hate us.
Mrs. True and I, we've come to help with that.
You don't want more violence.
Gentlemen, might we be civil?
Hello. Okay, so Sky Atlantic, created and written by Joss Whedon. He directed 3 episodes, but wrote all 12. You have Laura Donnelly, who plays Amalia True. She was in Britannia, Outlander, Merlin, The Fall. Anne Skelly, who plays Penance, who's in Vikings. Olivia Williams as Lavinia. She's in the new Call My Agent UK. She plays Camilla Parker Bowles in The Crown. She's in Sixth Sense as well. James Norton as Hugo Swan. He's in Happy Valley, Grantchester, McMafia. Tom Riley as Augustus, the brother of Olivia Williams. Turns out, just found out today, he comes from Maidstone, where I am. Went to the grammar school here, which is all very interesting. He was in the Christine episode, the 12 Days of Christine in Inside Number 9. Then you have Amy Manson, very, very hammy version of Malady that she plays. She was in Torchwood and in Once Upon a Time. Ben Chaplin, who I like very much, who plays Frank Mundy, the boxing legend and police inspector. He's in The Dig, Appletree Yard. Nick Frost is the Beggar King, Declan. Oh yeah. He's also that guy Tom Riley who plays Augustus, the guy from Maidstone. He was also in Robin Hood. Sorry, he was Robin Hood in Doctor Who.
Robot of Sherwood, I think that episode was called.
Robin of Sherwood, that's
Peter
right.
Capaldi, I'm such a geek.
Yep. And then you've got Zach Momo, who is Dr. Cousin to Horatio, who is the love interest. He was in Doctor Sleep. And then my mate, Heather Coombs, who has a very small role. She plays the anxious mother in one of the episodes.
Brilliant. All right. So, wow. Had anyone had anyone seen this? I hadn't seen this before going in to watch it this time.
No.
No,
I-
no one went in blind.
No, blind.
My last two recommendations, in fact, my only two recommendations so far. I haven't. I kind of feel we should all start at the same point. Although maybe moving forward, I might actually check out and watch my programs first.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I mentioned this to James actually offline. If we watched a few episodes and go, this is good, this is worth investing our time in. It's not like with the movie Lighthouse, you just spend an hour and a half, 2 hours of your time, and you go, that's a rubbish film, or that's a good film.
I mean, I suppose
This is a lot of time and effort for something that
well, let's
might
not pull back
not
the
be.
curtain too much. We'll talk. We'll talk about this later. But I agree with that. But I think probably the person who's choosing should go and check that they.
Yeah.
If they think it's
Yeah, that's what I mean.
that's your responsibility. So Megan, it's your fault basically.
Yeah. Well,
Look, I'll kick us off. I watched the first episode and I really didn't like it. I really disliked it. There was a couple of things that really jarred for me. The Joss Whedon thing didn't help, let's be honest. But it was trying to be really adult and sexy and swear words. And then they had a really stupid Batmobile car and like really daft contraptions. And it seemed like a show for kids aimed at adults. And I thought it didn't know where it wanted to be in that. However, after episode 1, I very quickly kind of got sucked into it and I started enjoying it much more and more and more. But we'll get on to that. Deborah, what are your first thoughts?
I thought it was really messy. I just couldn't get through one episode without falling asleep. The last episode, episode 6, was the only one that I didn't fall asleep through. But I agree. I couldn't get on with it. It was all over the place. The threads were blowing in the breeze. It was a mess. I felt like there was no desire or capability to follow what the hell was going on. It was only until episode 6 that actually, is this a bit too late now for us to now understand that it's all coming together?
Well,
I think it got to episode 3 or 4. And that was the moment where I had a bit of a shock, where you had Hugo Swan doing naughty things in bed.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, right, so it's this kind of program. And that's where,
And that's it. And I think, did it want to be Game of Thrones or did it want to be the 16th Batman?
Yeah, and as I got to the end of episode 6, I just thought,
hold on, well,
it's Doctor Who for
hold on,
adults.
let's do
The regeneration thing
at the end.
Okay.
Because I think that's worth talking about separately. Megan, what were your thoughts? Coming into it?
my immediate, so it's the sort of thing that typically I really would quite like. I wasn't just picking it because it was Joss Whedon.
I like Victorian. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I start immediately that first episode. It felt like it was. I don't know if any of you seen The Irregulars. So it had a feel of The Irregulars.
Yep,
it
I'd
had a
watched that.
feel of Miss Peregrine's School
School
for
for
Unusual Children.
Children.
Or
Well,
whatever
it's got so many.
Penny Dreadful.
a bit of Enola Holmes going on,
Enola Holmes,
and it just felt really a bit of this and a bit of that, and all stuck together, and nothing truly original about it. And it was kind of, I found it quite. Just felt lots of sort of like gimmicky bits that to your point, Deborah, it got very complex very quickly. And I know we're going to sort of like move on and discuss it, but my immediate reactions after the first couple of episodes were, I'm not feeling this is standing out, and it's got its own true
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, the thing that put me off, there were so many things that I thought, well, it's just like that, it's just like that. I thought it was basically the X-Men in Victorian times, down to the point that, your kind of leader of the gang almost was a wheelchair-bound woman. And it's like, you know, and they're all mutants, like X-Men mutants, you know, and it's like.
And it's not just the X-Men. There's so many. Oh, suddenly
many.
something weird has happened, and a bunch of people have got some weird powers that they didn't have before. Oh,
Yeah.
oh dear, what's going to happen? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, they had some hooks that kept you watching. I think Penance and True, they've got the chemistry. They were good
Yes.
anchors. I think they were the ones that sort of stood out and kind of kept it going. But I mean, everything else, it was just so complicated, and I just.
Well, I wonder, now we know a little bit more about kind of what was going on behind the scenes. It sounds like a very troubled production. To the fact as well that I think it's supposed to be 12 episodes or 13,
10.
wasn't it? 10.
Well, I think they'd written 10, and then they only went with 6.
They paused for COVID. They are going to do these other 4 episodes.
They say they are.
No, they are. No, they are, because I was asked to be in it again. So they're in the middle of filming, because I think they called it season 1B rather than.
Yes.
But just to your point, James, the disconnection between, they say around episode 4, 5, that's the lack of fluidity because they stopped filming mid-season because of COVID, and they restarted again in September 2020.
Right. Okay, well that does make some sense. Micah, what did you think about the characters? Can I ask specifically, actually, about the villain? What was her name? Malady.
Hammy.
See, I did like her.
I liked her, and I liked her more when you got the backstory. I think there was a little bit of redemption in that whole piece, and and I would genuinely want to know a bit more about how that all came about, because that was a pretty extreme shift from when her and is it Amalia? What's her name?
Yeah. Amalia True, yeah.
When they're together in the nut house,
Yeah.
that was quite interesting.
Not
So
really,
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
Not in Victorian times.
Oh yeah, so I'm in Victorian times. It was essentially bedlam.
I mean, that was my high point of the whole series. That backstory.
This is a very, very long lead up, and I think for something like this to have worked, they should have just given us the headlines at the beginning. This is kind of what we're aiming for. Then they would have got us hooked in properly throughout the episodes. The last episode was the best episode, because it tied things up, but these things should have been revealed long before.
Well, so I went back and I went back to rewatch episode 1, because I was just like, did they really signpost this? And there was a little part of me that was like, this has completely come out of the blue. And the very, very first episode, in very first scene or whatever, there's some pointers to it with Amalia going into the water and Malady getting hit with the whatever. But there's the only way you're ever going to clock that is once you see what else has come, and it's just.
I mean, I have to slightly disagree with you, Deborah. When I got to that episode 6, I think it had just come quite soon. I think episode 5 was the one where we had the flashback, where we heard about the woman who was a baker and she had a really hard life, and then and then when it went into the future, I was like, I don't really want to invest in a whole load of new situations. I don't really like this sci-fi binge. I'm getting quite used to the Victorian storylines going on here. I don't want to be.
Yeah,
I don't need a sci-fi
Doctor Who
explanation.
for me.
Yeah. I quite liked the idea that something happened. I didn't really need to know the explanation behind it, but it got a little bit sci-fi, and it's like, now it's about time travel.
A little bit sci-fi.
Yeah. But the whole Stripe going off to regenerate herself down in, and obviously the real Amalia True is dead. She drowned and she ended up becoming.
Yeah. I actually on that. So with that episode, had there been. So I was starting to lose the will to live with it, well and truly. But I do think a big part of that was actually how I felt about Joss Whedon by this point. I was almost determined not to like it because of, I felt betrayed by him. ruined my
Oh.
cult viewing of my
No,
early
it's
stuff.
safe. It's safe. What you've watched before is safe, Megan.
Okay,
it's in a
thank
crystal
you.
box.
But this isn't, because this is new stuff and
Yes,
we all
this
know
is
what.
shit.
So I can have a problem with this one. But actually, with the final episode, had that been a run of 10 or 12 episodes, that probably would have been the point that I was sat there going, oh, jeez, this is a bit of a mind bend, and I probably would have been a little bit more engaged to get back into it and say, right, okay, well, let's weave your themes together, all these threads that you've got flying all over the place, show that you can start pulling them back together, and let's see if you're worth the 6 hours I've already invested.
I think that's a very good point, and I
think so too.
I wonder if they made some rush decision to make that episode there at episode 6 that might have come towards the end of right at the end of the 10 episodes, maybe, or I think
they've now opened the way to make these next 6 episodes better. But do I want to continue watching it? I don't know. Maybe if I'm forced to.
Now, I would have done.
Well, maybe I'll pick it again.
I would have done 3 weeks ago when I finished watching it. I would have carried on.
Yeah.
But now there's been a bit of time. I'm not sure. I probably will, because it's only going to be another 4 hours or 5 hours of your life, isn't it? But can we just talk a little bit about effects? Because this is another thing for me that doesn't work. I've never been a fan of steampunk. I don't get it. And I know this divides opinion. People, lots, I know people love steampunk, but I don't like the designs. It's ever since watching Wicked Wild Wild West, I think, where they had all those silly inventions in the Wild West era with Will Smith, and it was like, you can't do that with steam. It just. But I don't mind a TARDIS.
Oh, we're going way back, aren't we? This deep-rooted issue that you've got with steampunk.
Yeah, I really don't like steampunk.
Yeah, but they've never claimed that it's actually steam in the Nevers, did they? Because she can read energy, so it's not all just.
No, but the design is very steampunk.
The design, it's Victorian steampunk.
I don't mean they're using steam to power everything.
See, I quite like it. I do like that style. In Stardust with the ship that goes up, the things like that, all that sort of stuff. I just love it with the little spin on things. So
I don't mind
all part of the reason why I chose it.
I mean, I enjoy that. I again, there's a lot of parallels drawn with Penny Dreadful, right? And I watched, I think, about half an hour of it and just turned it off, Penny Dreadful, because it was so dreadful for me and Laurie. But they say, that the Nevers lifts from the manga and anime Tokyo ESP, and Penny Dreadful lifts from Alan Moore, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Everything comes from something, but it's when it's not got its original.
Feminist themes, how badly women are treated by the patriarchy. But then you're right, that's in everything. You're right, that's everything.
I've got a question. So I'm all for colourblind casting. I think it's great. Move forward. Doesn't bother me, and I think it works.
Yeah, because that's Bridgerton and things like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it worked in. Yeah. There was a recent Charles Dickens adaptation of Nicholas Nickleby or something. I don't know, but that went really well. However, and I don't know about this. I'm asking you too. Colourblind casting happened in this. However, Irish racism, it was really prevalent in one of the episodes. Can you have these two things in the same world?
Yes, and there were some throwaway lines actually, because Dr. Cousins threw away a line about the racism that he was receiving at the time, which was he said about swimming back. Where I need to swim back from where I came from, having landed here or something. So there were lots of little throwaway lines that suggested racism going on, but not just.
And then can you do that with colourblind casting though?
But was it colourblind?
It certainly wasn't.
I think Bridgerton's colourblind casting. I don't think this one was so much.
I didn't take this as, because I definitely took the sense that the Doctor was dealing with a lot of prejudice, and had he not been black, he would have been in a very different place as a doctor, and there were definite allusions to the fact that he was doing what he was doing because there wasn't much else open to him.
Okay. I suppose maybe it explained that a little more as it went down the line, didn't it, with the Doctor? I guess. All right. That's all I've got really. Before we do the big five, have you got anything else you want to say, you two?
Do I have anything else to say? Why was it called the Nevers? Apparently, Joss Whedon explained that at Comic-Con in 2018, the phrase was meant to evoke a reaction to their oddity, to what is considered unnatural. You should never be like this, or never exist, or never have existed.
Right. So the big five. Okay.
Big five.
So I don't think we'll spend too much time on these, but performance of the series. Who do you think, Sean? It wasn't Nick Frost for me, that's for sure.
No, Laura Donnelly for me, who is the one that plays Amalia True. She's a good anchor.
Yeah, I thought she was actually moving between the different characters that she played in. Thought she was good.
Well, I'm going to give my nomination to Amy Madsen, who played Melody, because I mean, it was a hammy. It was like a bit of a musical theatre performance, but she was in Oliver, and I loved her.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of, like, I don't know, Helena Bonham Carter in, Barbara, what was it called? Barbara of, what was it?
Barbara Seville?
Not the Barbara
Sweeney
Seville,
Todd.
it's the Sweeney Todd one. The Barbara.
Oh, yeah,
The demon Barbara of.
Yeah, I'm Sweeney Todd.
Fleet Street.
Fleet Street, that's the one. Yeah,
I love her in
kind of OT, but it's just a little bit out of place. Anyway.
Yeah, fair
enough. A little bit out of place.
Megan, set piece of the series.
I'm being mad. Look at me being mad.
In case you hadn't noticed, everybody.
Ah, you should put me in
I'm
an
slightly
asylum.
unhinged.
I've got eye makeup and everything.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a dribble. I'm dribbling, and here's my nipple.
Pull me skirt right up.
Yeah. Oh, smell my muff.
Rotten ashes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, talking about that, so actually my set piece is in the theatre scene when she does her mad bit.
Yeah. Although,
you like that?
You wouldn't pick that, and it makes no sense because she doesn't want to kill her anyway.
No, but I thought it was quite a good little expose. It sort of like drew out quite. It shone a light on who the singing and who the people were who were the touched and.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Oh, I forgot about her. And I forgot about her. I didn't even mention her in the credits at the beginning, I don't think. Yeah,
Shoddy.
she died.
Try harder next time, please, Deborah.
And then, so I suppose the reveal for me, maybe.
Right.
That's the set piece.
Okay. And for me, it was the Baker story, the story of her.
Yeah.
That was really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to choose those lovely cakes. I'd have loved to have one of those cakes.
I would have done too.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, effect of the series.
Costumes, the corsets, they were all good. They look good.
You can't go
tell you
wrong
what
with
it wasn't.
Victoria, though, can you, really?
It wasn't the really tall girl.
Oh, yeah.
No, that really didn't work, did it?
It really was terrible.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you think we live in a world nowadays where we're at a point where things look so believable, but sometimes they just don't.
Yeah,
No,
it's a bit silly.
it didn't stand true. I mean,
It worked well for Harry Potter, but not here.
yeah, I think her character. I'm hoping her character does something in the last 4 episodes because she hasn't really
Changed a
done
lot.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really. Nothing really sticks out for me. I'm certainly not going to say their stupid little car. I really hated that car.
Silly little car.
What about your man's fireballs? I did quite like when they were throwing. Was it the ice? And they were running up the ice.
Oh yeah.
That was quite clever.
Yeah.
The rescue mission.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you choose one, Deborah?
I just said quite like the costumes.
All right. Well, the stupid factor.
No. Oh, it's just stupid. I mean, look, I love a fantasy. I love Victorian. It could have been so much more. Maybe it will be. It's just messy themes, threads lost.
Yeah. Do you think we can turn it around? A yes or a no for the resuscitation factor?
Possibly.
I think everything's got potential.
Yeah, they're filming now, so I think there is. I think there's potential.
I'm going to stay optimistic.
I think it's a good cast. I think it's a good cast and it's a good premise. I don't know how they're gonna, if they are gonna mix these worlds together. I do hope not.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Well, it's
What is it? They're
it's
big
time
fat
travel.
whales, are they? Space whales? What is it?
The Galanthe is just a big fat alien. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what this war is about or why.
I don't think we do. I think that's what happens when you stop a series after 6 episodes that were supposed to run for more.
Do you know what? I don't think I care either.
I know. But she could change history by being there. You know, Doctor Who-ish style. She regenerated.
You can't change history, not one line, said William Hartnell in The Aztecs. And then 3 stories later, they were changing history like wildfire.
If I could start the destruction of everything that's evil here, then everything that is good would survive when Cortez lands.
But you can't rewrite history. Not one line.
So there you go.
We're going to give it scores.
Final thought here. I think there's a quote that I quite liked. I heard an ugly rumour the other day. All rumours are ugly. No one whispers about virtues. Well, that was nice.
Very true.
I read it badly.
That was in the.
Yeah. All right. And just the series link I've got here. At the end of episode 5, I don't know if any of you noticed, but Melody goes la like that.
Oh, did she?
Oh, did she?
I don't think I clocked that.
Yeah.
No.
There we go. That made me smile.
I've seen a few La t-shirts knocking around on people, not in person, but on social media and on telly.
Good stuff. All right, shall we mark this, baby? So, storyline and plot. And Megan, seeing as though you're the one that embarked this joyous adventure on us.
Well, I think I'm being quite generous and I'm giving it a 5.
Okay. Deborah?
4.
It gets a 4 from me. Okay. Characterization and performances. Deborah?
5.
I'm going to give it a 7. I thought I quite like performances in general.
I gave it a 6.
Okie dokie. Just checking you're writing
I
your
just didn't
scores
like
down, yeah?
the performances were fine and the characters were not fine.
Okay. All right, style. Oh, well, it loses some points for me because of the Victorian thing. But 4 for me. Megan?
5.
Well, I gave it 8 because I think it looks good.
Okay, fair enough.
Costumes. I just love the Victorians.
Originality. Deborah?
4.
2 for me. I think it really...
3 from me.
Yeah, I think I'm being super generous.
You are being very generous, I would say. But
it's not like you,
your
Deborah.
scores.
Absorption factor. 3 for me.
3.
4.
Right. Ooh. Let's add these up. 44.66% recurring.
I'm thinking that's at the bottom of the list, isn't it?
It really
is it? Is it lower than?
It's it comes in at 6th place under the 1. I have got 3 clues for the next series, and it is what I've tried to do as well is kind of move as far away from what we've just seen as possible.
Possibly wise.
So see if you can guess what it is.
Okay, right. Give us your clues.
First clue. It's set in the 1970s. How excited. That clue number 2. It's based on a true story. This might give it away. Clue number 3. It's about a serial killer who worked out of Thailand killing tourists.
Oh, the serpent.
Worked out of where? Thailand?
Yeah. So we are going to be watching the 8-episode series called The Serpent. It was on iPlayer. It might still be on iPlayer, but it has definitely moved to Netflix. It was a joint BBC Netflix production. I saw it when it came out, but I have to say, big fan. It's
lots to talk about.
And it's based on a true story. So
this is going to be awful. This is why.
Your fact pocket's going to be overflowing.
Oh yeah, I know, but this is why I've avoided it because when it's based on something real, I like living in under a shell,
Where it's all made up, really, Deborah.
But real stuff makes me feel a bit ill. Okay, all right then, guys. Well,
let's not leave it so long till next time, eh?
Yes, let's do this quickly.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.